Can we? Good.
Another passage of the ancient text relates how the monk Vakali was lying seriously ill on his sickbed. When the Buddha arrived, Vakali explains to him that although he has no sense of failure in his conduct, he is troubled by the fact that because of his illness, he has not been able to come and visit the Buddha. The Buddha responds, "Enough, Vakali. What point is there in your seeing this decaying body? He who sees Dharma sees me. He who sees me sees Dharma."
Okay, thank you. And this is actually one of the very, very popular passage. But then this popular passage also been a lot of interpretation, even in Mahayana also, because this passage could open up a lot of understanding too. But I mean, before we read, I mean, we don't necessarily delve in the deep, different discussion yet. Why don't we just look at how the Buddhist text, from the early time, what the text say about. Anyway, Vakali was believed to be one of the monks who is really have a great faith to the Buddha. I don't know whether that carries any other meanings. Maybe other meaning means he just have a great faith, but not necessarily very smart. I don't know. Well, we don't know, okay? I just suspect that. But anyway, one thing unfortunate is that this monk, Vakali, was ill, and he was not like a little ill, was really gravely ill. Then the Vakali also, he has his attendant. He must be very old, okay? And must be very senior monk. So he asked his attendant, "I'm very ill, please go to see the Buddha." So then tell them that I'm very ill, but I like to see him, But then that's why his attendants went to see the Buddha and told the Buddha about this, his teachers, what happened there. Then the Buddha took the bow and the rope, and then he went to see the Vakali, okay? So that's why this is also, I like you to read this kind of text. Then you see the different picture of the Buddha. It's not like, I'm a Buddha, I don't go, But he just take the bow and the rope, he go to see this old monk. And you could say his students, okay? And then, of course, he was delighted, and he saw the Buddha was coming in the distance, and then he started to move, stir on his bed, okay? So basically, it's kind of like he's so ill, but he stir means he moving here and there. He was trying to do something. Then the Buddha told him, don't move. You don't have to move. So he said, "Enough, Vakali, do not stir on your body. Don't move," kind of like, So there's a sit here already. So I can sit here. So then the Buddha sit there, okay? And then when he sat there, and he told the Vakali, just let me read the text, say, "I hope you are bearing up, Vakali. I hope you are getting better. I hope that your painful feelings are subsiding and not increasing, and that their subsiding, not their increase, is to be discerned." Okay. Well, basically, actually, the Buddha started to give him advice that, of course, I hope your body will be not having this problem, but I also hope you look at your body, all this kind of painful sensation will increasing and subsiding and increasing and subsiding, And then, and he say, that's important, that their subsiding, not their increase, is to be discerned. And he say again, next stage is, don't look at this. In other words, mean that you have to be able to see not subsiding and they're increasing, not they're subsiding, to be discerned. Okay. Okay. In other words, you have to see the part of not subsiding and not increasing. Okay. That should be look at it. So get it now. And this is a kind of practice, actually, meditation. So then, and then he say, "No, I do. I kind of like then he replied to the Buddha. So I'm not getting better. Strong painful feelings are increasing in me. So not subsiding and not their increase, not their subsiding is to be discerned." No. In other words, he could say, I couldn't do anything. Okay, something like that. So then the Buddha would say, then I wish you are not. I mean, this is old language. Basically, I mean, I hope that you are not troubled by remorse and regret. You know, when the people are getting very ill, they start to feel regret, right? A lot of things are done. And they start to feel remorse. Out now, huh? And then he say, yeah, I have a lot of regret and remorse, okay? And then he say, all right, Vakali, then I hope nothing, you know, you have nothing for which to reproach yourself in regard to virtue. I mean, you are not start to think about you are not good, your virtue. 你的戒不好，就是your 美德不好, your virtue is not good. Reproach yourself. But he say no. Okay, I had nothing to reproach myself about the virtue. So then the Buddha say, then if you don't have nothing to reproach about with your virtue, then why are you troubled by remorse and regret? You know. So then the Buddha asked him. So he said, oh, for the long time, I have wanted to come to see the blessed one, I mean the Buddha, but I haven't been fit enough to do so. So he said, why he get remorse and regret? Because for a long time he wanted to see the Buddha. He was so ill, he couldn't do it. So that's why the Buddha say the passage next one. He say, enough. Vakali, why do you want to see the full body? Full body. One who sees the Dhamma sees me. One who sees me sees the Dhamma. For in seeing the Dhamma, Vakali, one sees me. And in seeing me, one sees the Dhamma. So anyway, so this is the passage, one of the, there were a few other places that this passage come. This is one of the incidents come. Just that when you see the Dhamma, you see me. When you see me, you see the Dhammas. You know, this is the passage that come. But it looks like the first the Buddha tell Vakali, you know, why you have remorse and regret because you look at the wrong side, you know. Because when you want to see this false body, this is corrupted body, you have to thinking about the Dhamma. So if you see the Dhamma, then you will see me. When you see me, then you will see the Dhamma. So it's so of course in the next passage I'm going to read. I'm not going to read, but if you have time, you should go back and read that. I mean one day you should read the text, and it's just started to say, look at everything is impermanent and so forth and like that, you know. And of course I remember at the end, he definitely because of that he become Arahant, you know. He was starting to realize he would look for the wrong side, you know. So, and he was a great teacher too. I mean, he had many students, but he just, you know, sometimes when people get ill too much and he lost the main point, focus, the main focus like that. So these passages mean when you see the Dhamma, you see me, and when you see me, you see the Dhamma, okay? And so that's, I want to say, that's how, this, we must remember this passage because in the future, anyway, those are things put it here looks like, okay, but you will find this repeat and repeat again by many Buddhism also later on, okay. All right, let's just read the next paragraph. This kind of thinking gives rise to develop Buddhist thought. Who's next one? Yes, please, Jonathan, yeah.
This kind of thinking gives rise.
Sorry.
Yeah, develop Buddhist thought to various theories of the bodies of the Buddha. Such theories are often presented as a distinguishing feature of later Mahayana Buddhism. This is misleading. Certainly, there is a rather sophisticated understanding of the three bodies, Trikaya, of the Buddha worked out and expounded in the writings of the 4th century CE Indian Mahayana thinker Asanga.
Asanga.
But this theory stands at the end of a process of development, and some conception of the bodies of the Buddha is common to all Buddhist thought. What is common is the distinguishing between the physical body, Rupa Kaya, and the Dharma body.
Okay, thank you. And the next one? Who's going to read it? You want to? Yeah, you can keep on getting ready first. Yeah, Mukesh. Yeah, the physical body. Yeah.
The physical body is the body that one would see if one happened to meet the Buddha. Most people, most of the time, it seems, would see a man who looked and dressed much like any other Buddhist monk. However, recalling the stories of the Brahmins who examined the Buddha's body after his birth and the Brahmin who followed his footprints, some people, some of the time, see, or perhaps more precisely experience, a body that is 18 cubits in height and endowed with the 32 marks of the great man, as described in the Lakkhana Sutta, the discourse on the marks of the great man. This apparently extraordinary body appears in part to be connected with theories of the subtle body developed in meditation. All this, then, is the physical body, the body as it appears to the senses. The Dharma body, as we have seen already, is the collection of perfect qualities that, as it were, constitute the personality or the psychological makeup of the Buddha.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I guess. Do you want to read?
Buddha physical body and Dharma body is a sense parallel, and in a sense of contrary with the physical and psychological makeup of others more ordinary beings. According to a classic Buddhist analysis, that we shall have occasion to consider more fully below, any individual being physical and psychological makeup compares 5 groups of condition and functions. A physical body normally endowed with 5 senses, feeling that are pleasant, unpleasant, or untruth idea and concepts, various desires and volitions, and self-concupiscence.
Consciousness. Okay.
And any being might be considered as consisting in the accumulation of just these 5 heaps or aggregated
skandha.
Skandha of physical and psychological condition. And in this respect, Buddha is no physical.
It's no different, I think.
It's no.
Buddha is no physical.
Buddha has transformed these 5 into expression and embodiment of the Dharma. Thus, rather than, or as well as consisting in the accumulation of these 5 aggregated, the physical, psychological makeup of Buddhas might be considered as consisting in the accumulation of another set of 5 aggregated, namely the various quality of perfect condition. I skip this, okay?
Yes, okay.
Meditation, wisdom, freedom, and knowledge and understanding.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know whether you have ring the bell about the Diamond Sutra you should read. You will find actually a lot of things they will discuss there. I'm not going to address that issue, but when you look at the Diamond Sutra, you will find actually the last thing the Buddha will point out, it's you have to understand me as the Dharma, not as the physical body. That definitely is the conclusion. But in between, what this, what that, I mean, this is a long story, I'm not going to say. But you have to get the conclusion first. What is he wanted to say, and then in between he has a lot of put out of his thing and asking the Ananda and ask him to reply, how to think that, is it true, is it not true? And then the thing is back to the Dharma. So 一切有为法如梦幻泡影嘛, it's back to the Dharma.
Yeah.
So, right? So, so it's actually, when you have that concept, you might be much easier to read again. When you go back to read Diamond Sutra, you will start to more understand. Oh, it looks like asked to back to the Dharma, not thinking this way or that way, you know. Or that person is doing this and that, or he helped a lot of people, or because you limited the Dharma already, you forget what is the main thing. Anyway, so that's lots of interesting thing. So this just point out for you to think about. So I don't think, but last thing I want to say is very important when you learn Buddhism also, the last thing to say, so we must know it's the various quality of perfect contact, meditation, wisdom, freedom, and knowledge and understanding. It is always believed that when someone becomes a Buddha or Arahant, he will possess of these in general saying the 5 kind of quality. That is the perfect conduct, the meditation. That means samadhi, the concentration. You could say the prajna, the wisdom. Okay, the vimukti means 解脱, the freedom, vimukti. Vimukti is a Sanskrit, vimukti is a Pali. Okay, and the knowledge and understanding. It means 解脱知见 in Chinese translate. Mean the understanding of the liberation. Okay. Okay. 就是戒定慧解脱知见，我们叫无法身 in Buddhism. 5 Dhamma body in Chinese. So that's how the term. It means this 5 thing. Okay. 就戒定慧解脱知见 in Chinese. So okay, it means that means the 5 Dhamma body. Okay. Okay, it's why don't we just finish it and then we can have a little relaxed time. All right. Any question with regard to this the bodies of the Buddhas first? No? Anyway, are you feeling sleepy now? All right, and then if no, then we just go to the next paragraph. The next paragraph is about the Sravaka Buddhas, but then we know that there were 3 kinds of Buddhas, right? It's Sravaka Buddhas, Pratyeka Buddha, Samyak Sambuddha. Okay, so yeah, please read the next paragraph. Yeah, you. Yeah.
In this chapter, we have seen how the Buddhism tradition regards a particular historical individual, Siddhartha Gautama, as an instance of a certain kind of rare and extraordinary being, Buddha. Such a being, having resolved to become a Buddha by making a vow in the presence of some previous Buddha of a far distant age, practice the perfections for countless lives and finally, born as a man, attains Buddhahood by finding the path to the cessation of suffering. He then goes on to teach this path to the cessation of suffering to others so that they may reach the same realization as he has done, so that they too may become awakened or Buddha. Both Gautama and those who come to realization by following his teachings, the
Arahats,
may be referred to as Buddhas, since both, by the rooting out of greed, hatred, and delusion, have come to understand suffering and the path to its cessation. And yet, as the tradition acknowledges some difference between Gautama and the Arahats must remain. Okay.
Gautama.
The Buddha has found the path by these individuals striving without the immediate help of an already awakened being, and then goes on to show others the way. His followers, on the other hand, may have come to precisely the same understanding and realization as Gautama, but they have done so with the assistance of his unequal abilities as teacher.
All right, guys. Okay, I think we understand the term now, right? What the difference between the Buddha and the Arahats? Right? And then next one. I'm going to read that. We have two kinds of. Yeah.
We have then.
We have then two kinds of Buddhas. The perfectly fully awakened one.
Samyak Sambuddha. Like Gautama.
And the Arhat, or one who has awakened as a disciple.
Shravaka. Shravaka Buddha.
Thus,
while on the one hand
wishing to stress that the awakening of Gautama and his awakened disciples is the same, the Buddhist tradition has also been unable to resist the tendency to dwell on the superiority of Gautama's achievement. Apart from becoming awakened as a Samyak Buddha or Arhat, Buddhist texts also envisage a third possibility, that one might become awakened by one's unaided effort without hearing the teaching of a Buddha and yet fail to teach others the way to awakening. Such a one is known as solitary Buddha.
Buddha.
All right. No any question, right? I guess it's very easy, very plain. Yeah, then Gautama is mean Chao Da Mo. Who is Chao Da Mo? Who is Gautama? Well, I've been a long time I couldn't write the term already. So yeah. Please remember, Gautama and Gautama is the same word, okay? It's the because you know in that kind of British tradition, they also had to not only carry the father, the surname, but they also had to carry the mom's surname. So Gautama referred to her mom's surname, but it's usually in those days is when you honor a person, but you have to use the mom's surname. So Gautama Buddha. Actually, in India, they like to call them Gautama or Gautama is just a language thing. Gao is a kind of more stress, you know, or Ao is more stress word, you know, like this become a weak sound, it become a strong sound, like Gautama, or Gautama, okay, it's just but it's referred to the same. But in Chinese, they don't like that because they never like the mother's surname, right, in old days. That's why we always say Sakyamuni Buddha, 用父姓释迦, it's a 这个 clan, okay, 懂吗？释迦。Sakya。释迦族。Yeah。他父姓。所以他爸爸姓释迦。释迦族。那摩尼是他妈妈。No, Moni 就是一个指 like sage when you translate English, like Sakya sage, means Zen 那种一种修行的人 sage, yeah, Moni means that. Actually, they're the sage of the Sakya, you could say, literally. Sorry, okay. Complete different understanding of Buddhism. Change you a lot of idea. Muni means a sage, somebody who can calm the mind, you know, calm down. Muni means 寂静嘛. Muni means 寂静, it means you can calm down. Yeah. But you know the Indian way understanding sage very similar to Chinese. To mean a sage should be very gentle, very, you know, that means a sage. 圣人啊，那种就是一种就叫 Sakya Muni. So the sage of the Sakya.
所以出家人的叫 Sikh.
Huh? That is because after that is not in the early time. It's only very late. I don't know when. I forgot.
Not after.
It's just because then you know they still. In the Chinese culture, you still have to consider people who having become the same family. How you should make it become feel like we are the same family. So you change the surname.
Why not?
I think if you do that, maybe in Chinese culture, I suspect. I don't know well about Chinese that way, but it looks like you are not pure Chinese because usually Chinese just only one surname. If you have two, mean you are the Mongolian or what do you call it, Manzhouren or Manchurian, right? They don't. You could say 释迦, and then you know like Manchurian, they're not Chinese. This is all about. But of course, if the Manchurian was in the power, they would say, why not Sakya? Sakya Dhammadipa, right? Sakya 法要，释迦法要，为什么要施法要，对不对？施法要。It's this all that. Anyway, but you have to understand when you read the Buddhist text or when you read English, because you know, from Indian actually they like to use mother, so the Gautama Buddha. The same thing like when you know Sharif or Sari Buddha, right? It means actually it's mother side, not father side. His father side name I cannot remember suddenly. I suddenly can remember. Yeah. It's okay. It's no, Gautama is the Buddha. Okay.
Oh, Upatissa.
Upatissa. His name is Upatissa, but they usually still address him as a Sariputra. Yeah. Because her mom actually is Sariputra. So Sariputra means the son of the Sari. Yeah. Sari is a kind of bird. 那个秋鹭鸪，那个脚长长的。白鹭鸶 ，yeah. Okay. Heron, maybe heron. Yeah, the son of heron. Okay. All right. Let's go back here. At least we try to finish this chapter, and then we can have a little petty chat if we have time. Yeah. Where is the next paragraph? The sense that, right? Okay. Right. Please. Is it? Yeah. Your turn. I don't know who you can fight. Yeah.
The sense that achievements of these three kinds of Buddha are at once the same but different. The Buddha's achievement being somehow superior is a tension that lies at the heart of Buddha's thought, and as we shall see, explains in part certain later developments of Buddhist thought, known as the Mahayana. How does the Buddha's superiority to Rupert and the Pratyeka Buddha manifests itself? In order to answer this question, it is useful to return to a question raised earlier concerning the Buddha's nature as man of God. In the context especially of early Buddhism and Buddhism as precise practice today in Sri Lanka and Southeast Asia, once it has been established that theoretically the Buddha is neither a god nor a savior, there has been a tendency among observers to conclude that Buddha ought then to be seen by Buddhists as simply a man, as if this was the only alternative. A further conclusion is then drawn that since Buddhism teaches that there is no savior, the only way to salvation must be through one's own unaided effort.
Unaided effort. Okay, thank you. Yeah, we can read. We finish the next paragraph too. Can you?
True, the Buddha did not.
Oh, you okay? It's fine. Either you.
Go ahead.
True, the Buddha did not create the world, and he cannot simply save us. And the Buddhists would say that it is not so much that the Buddha lacks the power as that the world is just not like that. No being could do such a thing. Yet although no savior, the Buddha is still the teacher of gods and men, the unsurpassed trainer of unruly men. In the Pali commentaries of the 5th century, Sri Lanka, he is often referred to simply as the teacher. That is, we have here to do with a question of alternative religious imagery and metaphor, not the father or savior of Judaism or Christianity, but the teacher. If one is not familiar with the Indian cultural context, it is easy to underestimate the potency of the image here. For a Buddhist, No being can match the Buddha's abilities to teach and instruct in order to push beings gently towards the final truth of things. A Buddha may not be able to save us, that is, he cannot simply turn us into awakened beings, yet if awakening is what we are intent on, the presence of a Buddha is still our best hope. Indeed, some contemporary Buddhists would suggest that it is no longer possible to reach awakening since conditions are now unpropitious. I don't think I've got that pronounced correctly.
I could not tell you about that because it's all right. Yeah, we know. Because but you sorry.
Rather, it is better to aspire to be reborn at the time of the next Buddha, or in a world where a Buddha is now teaching so that one can hear the teachings directly from a Buddha. For the Buddhist tradition, then, the Buddha is above all the great teacher. It is his rediscovery of the path to the cessation of suffering and his teaching of that path that offers beings the possibility of following that path themselves.
All right, thank you. So, I don't know, my nephew just 12 years old. Do you want to finish it? The last paragraph? Okay.
As teacher,
就是那里读就好了。
set in motion the wheel of Dharma. As a result of setting in motion the wheel of Dharma, he established a community of accomplished disciples, the Sangha. In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, the Buddhist thus has three jewels.
Triratana.
To which to go for refuge. Going to the three jewels for refuge is realized by the formal recitation of a threefold formula. To the Buddha I go for refuge. To the Dharma I go for refuge. To the Sangha I go for refuge. Going to these three jewels for refuge is essentially what defines an individual as a Buddhist. Having considered the Buddha, let us now turn to consider his teaching and how that teaching is put into practice by those who take refuge in the three jewels.
All right, thank you. Right, I guess we have wrapped up at least the first chapter, anything in regard to the Buddha, right? So if you remember, first is we're talking about, is there just historical Buddha, right? So, but definitely, of course, the answer is that basically, yes, there's a historical Buddha because there's archaeological evidence, you know. And then you have to also understand when you understand the Buddha also, you must also understand that kind of culture called renunciation culture, okay? 就是true renunciation culture, which of course, especially in the West, is a shocking thing. So that's why, that means 出家的概念, the Buddha has to be renounced, you know. That's one other thing. And of course, then there was discussion about the kind of society background, you know, and that Indian background, there's a kind of environment that you must be renounced environment, you know. And then the other is that, beside that also, definitely because you could say whether the Buddha appear as a religious leader or not, but that's another question. We don't want to put it here, but then still we must understand the background of the Buddha was born, the place was born in India, or you could say in Nepal, in India, those areas. So there was kind of tradition there called a Brahmanical tradition. I mean, there's a religious tradition, but they could get married also, but they also accept people who don't want to get married and renounce their life to practice their religious, okay? And then also what kind of idea they got, you know, mostly. They definitely have some of the very few of the important understanding that, for example, they all still believe in a sage, right? And somebody who have the wisdom, you know. And then also, then it's introducing about the Buddha's life, you know, the legend, how the Buddha's life is. But even though how you consider the Buddha's life as a legend or not, but then there was certain fact it looks like can be proved, because Asoka also, actually, he definitely went those places and he had put the pillar, you know, and at least after the Buddha passed away. And then there was also much more evidence is also actually when the Buddha was passed away, he was cremated as a king, you know. And that was not a small case. It's really, he considered him as, the way he was cremated, and he was worshipped by 8 kings, and he was actually cremated as a king. You know what I'm saying? This is definitely make a real huge impact, different already, you know. Imagine if there's one of the king was cremated, you know, then there's a record. He was really, this person was cremated as a king, right? But then the Buddha was cremated as a king, you know. And also that time, his, what we call the relics, and been delivered by the 8 kings also. And then there's a lot of legend about the Buddha, which is very interesting, and how he became a Buddha, how he was defeat the demon, the Maras, and so forth. And whether it depends how you look at it, but at least we cannot deny that they have a lot of significant importance among the Buddhist heart, right? So, and then I guess then there's some discussion about that's what today we're doing, the nature of the Buddha, right? And then even when you think about the Buddha term also, then you know there were 3 kinds of Buddha, right? So this is what we call the Pajjaka Buddha, the Sammasambuddha, and Sravaka Buddhas, right? So then that's how we conclude, generally understand basically the Buddha. So when you say a Buddha, someone who is awakened. So I guess, and then the next chapter will be about what is the teachings. Okay. So we have a little time. We don't need to spend until that time. Don't worry. Today we can finish a little early, but still it may be good that we have a little discussion before, you know, we wrap up the today. Any question or any comment? Not necessarily question. Or what do you think about after reading the whole chapter of this? Usually I ask people giving this feedback, but nobody. So maybe best to ask now. Or what kind of thing that shock you, or what kind of thing that you find it might help you or refine your thoughts?
The title. Title?
Yeah, when you say the word Buddha is a title, it is a title. Yeah.
So those three Buddha are also 3 titles.
I think that when you say it's a title, it depends on what you mean by that. Because then when you say a title, that always carries a certain quality, right? So when you say, that's why I say when you say the Sravaka Buddha, so you refer to the Buddha and the Arahant too. So because why? Because they to the Sravaka understanding. So the Buddha and the Sravaka Arahant are no different, right? Why? They are no different because they all cut off the reincarnation. They have cut off the 3 roots of poisons, right? So, and they have no different. But then still, the sense of superiority always put to the Buddha. And by that, they also agree that the Buddha is the only, you can be the name of Buddha because you are the first one who rediscovered the teachings, right? And then when you say the Prateka Buddha, 就是辟支佛 in Chinese, so it refers to somebody who actually attend the same thing, but the difference is that he stay alone mostly. He doesn't have much students. He didn't have much students. And but this definitely is a long discussion if you look at it deep. And what is that? And the Sammasambuddha, so which is highly emphasized, especially in Mahayana Buddhism, but actually Sravaka Buddhism also said that same thing. But it's stress different, you know, stress, 强调不一样. So and then what even they have a same meaning, just as way of stressing it. So Sammasambuddha is always referred, definitely it's not Arahant, but it's always referred to the Buddha who able to discover the teaching by himself, unaided, without anybody helping. But Arahant is always referred to, it has been helped, the teaching still existing. So that's now this interesting thing. Let's say in your culture, if nobody think Arahant, they don't understand what is Arahant, you may become Arahant, but you will say you become a Buddha too. You don't get it? Because you know that you have cut off all the defilement, you don't have reincarnation anymore. But You won't say you are Arahant because you don't know that there's a term Arahant is restricted for because you know the teachings. Get it now? And the Buddha term is restricted for you never heard the teachings. That means the teaching is not exist at all. Am I make it clear? Oh. No.
No.
Arahant and Rahant is the same thing.
Same thing, right?
But Chinese sometimes Chinese, you know, like Ananto, we don't say Ananda, Ananto. We like to say Nanto, okay, sometimes. Because we omit the R sometimes. But I need to say this is not fair to say because the Chinese just omit it. There was some other thing is, because then later we discover in Central Asia, the word Arahant can be used as Rahant. They don't put R. It's a language reason. You know, in earlier time, people learn Buddhism from China, from Central Asia first, so maybe that was a reason. So Rohan, anyway, in Chinese, Rohan and Arahant is the same term. It's the same, yeah.
But I thought we always consider Rohan is much, one at least few levels lower than.
This is what I'm saying, telling you. Don't think that way. In the Shravaka teachings and all Buddhist teaching, Rahant and the Buddha is the same. They cut all the reincarnation. But it's true that the Arahant why it's called Arahant? Still in the so-called what we call the Shravaka Buddha, why he called Arahant? Because he has learned the teaching. And the Buddha is the one was becoming the same as Arahant, but unaided. Nobody helped him. Okay.
Yeah, he's a creating teaching. And that's a learned creating teaching.
But maybe I don't use the creating teaching, sorry, because in Buddhism, the teaching is always there, but nobody really, that's why discovered. We usually rediscover usually, yeah.
可是他刚出来，从皇宫出来的时候，他不是有跟一个老师，然后他还有一个神仙师傅是叫文。
Yeah, but they are the one. Those teachers didn't teach him how to become a Buddha or Arahant. Only teach him meditation, like concentration, or even probably teach him how to reach to the God only. Yeah. Not how to become not how to. No, I should erase all that. Not how to cut off the samsara, the 轮回. So.
他的老师，他那个老师没有教他那个缘起法。
Okay, I don't want to deal with that problem anyway. We will learn that later. Any other thing that we need to point out, or anything that you think that might be worth to share with us?
I think it's quite interesting by you saying that you see the Dharma, you see the Buddha. That's very good because that we are born in at this moment. We don't even have a chance to see the Buddha, right? But while that guy is almost dying, that he was one thing in his mind. He said he feel so pity that he didn't have the time, he didn't have the chance to see that Buddha earlier. So probably this is the only thing that he's considered before he's just going to pass away pretty soon. But the Buddha said, not to worry.
But I think it's good. I think it's good to point that out also. I think I know somebody is like that. They have a regret and remorse. But I didn't think about that, but that's a good point. No, I knew that, but I just didn't really put it together. The remorse and regret is not about the virtue. It's same thing. He regret that he didn't do something like he could see somebody, and he forgot actually seeing the Dharma, then he's seeing the Buddha, something like that. Yeah. I mean, when people are really ill, so at that time they really forget something like that. And my understanding, presumably this monk, he might be even actually he's not a normal monk. I presume he's a Sotapanna, that's a 出国的. He have attended the first fruit, but you know when he was so ill, he really lost his that little point of focus, right? Yeah.
佛法僧，
对啊，
布达达玛桑。
跟他说什么剑
法就是剑佛啊，
就如同剑的。
见法即见佛，见佛即见法。Yeah. Any one more point? Any? You was very quiet. Could you say something? I don't force you to say something, but I mean if you like to, yeah.
Well, just a general comment about the chapter itself. For someone like myself who's essentially starting at zero, I found it very interesting and informative to, begin to build my understanding of it as a starting point.
I see. Well, it's good. Yeah. Jonathan?
For me, it's very interesting on how he handles like multiple traditions of Buddhism very evenly, and without putting a fair weight into a certain tradition. I mean, from his writing, you can know he's have an influence from the Theravada tradition, but he's not doing any disrespect to other tradition. And I think that is rare. And also, he is able, because I already went ahead and read later chapter. He has this ability to break down very complex concepts into simple language. I think this is one of the great writing I've read so far in Buddhist writing.
Okay. Today you just participated in class. What do you think? Our little kid? Boring? You don't know what we are talking about. Do you learn something? Okay. Okay. How about you? I never heard you say anything. Comment. Yeah.
I don't know. Not any particular.
You're very similar like him, you say. You don't know. Any? No. Okay. You? And what about you?
我就说中文，中文都没搞懂，英文也搞懂，我就是慢慢学。
Okay, all right, good. Okay, anyway, we're very nice we're delighted to see you on the class here. So I cannot remember next class when will be that. When will that be? But I'm sure 2 weeks after. So do we have during Christmas time or after that? 13. I see. Okay, we still have a class on 13. Okay. So, if we have the class of the 13. So, it means that in the chapter 2, definitely we need to read it until, at least go to until page 45, okay? So, that because at least, we come to a little historical understanding of the Buddhist collection or canon, yeah. Okay, right. I will see you next week. No, after next week. Yeah, thank you so much for coming. Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah.